5. Welcome to another episode of Day to Day with Elevate. And we are back with another learning snack for all of y'all. Go ahead and invite a friend, invite another lady leader, a gal pal to come and share in today's content. Let me go ahead and pop it into Instagram. Whether you're tuning in on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, this is a video that you're going to want to save, because here's the thing that I know for sure. As people of color, women of color, people who are black, being on this journey and navigating this space can be really, really, really exhausting and challenging, especially when we work in predominantly white spaces, right? And so today's topic, hey, good manners, Rock, welcome to the show. Today's topic is your blackness is an asset. Yes. We got this. Listen, it's great to be black in these streets. Let's go. Okay, so we've got that pinned to IG. So again, welcome to another episode of Day to Day with Elevate. I am Dorothy Enriquez. I'm the CEO and principal founder of the Elevate Collective, formerly known as the communication strategist. So here we are, fully rebranded. It is pitching season, so I'm very excited. And if you all remember, I have been talking about this for the last 2 weeks. I've got this audacious goal, audacious, to make $10,000 in 10 days. It starts today. So are you going to be part of the tribe that helps me achieve this goal? We've got all sorts of cool stuff in the Elevate store, so mosey on over there and check out what's available for you. And of course, we have our signature coaching program that we have been leveraging for the last 3 years, our Accelerate program. And so that's something else you'll be able to look into as well. But today's topic, as we get ready to jump in, is around your blackness as an asset. And if you're not familiar with the Elevate Collective, we are a learning and leadership development firm. And we want to do 3 things, right? We want to make sure leadership is accessible, especially for people who look like you and me. We want to make sure that leadership is transformative. Yeah, we be taking these classes, but sometimes don't nothing happen after we're done. And we want to make sure that it's relatable, especially as people of color. We want to have content that was designed with us in mind, that whole for us, by us movement, right? And making sure that especially the leadership content that we get exposed to considers how women ascend in the corporate arena, or how they just ascend in the world of work, and how women gain, maintain, and wield and share power once they get it. All the research shows that when we are in positions of power, we bring everyone else along, period, and the point blank. So that's a little bit about Elevate and a little bit about what we do. But as we get ready to jump into this content, please invite another gal pal, invite a friend, invite someone over to come and kiki and hang out with us for a little bit. So look, jumping in, I was on HBR today, Harvard Business Review, and I was thinking about one of the modules that I'm creating in my Evergreen program. And I was like, you know, it would be cool to talk about this idea of how your blackness is an asset. And let me tell you a little bit about why this is so important. You know, something that we do that we are so guilty of, and myself included, also guilty as hell, covering. So these are the moments where if we normally are like, oh, preach, I know you did that, you said that, we would never say that at work, ever, not never. Or we are getting ready for the workday and then we feel super pressed to like straighten our hair and make it bone straight, even though normally we like an afro pony puff, right? And so we do all of these things to cover up all of the different layers that make us us. But what happens is, in that covering, we are essentially adding a very heavy load to our backpack. And each time we cover, and the more that we cover, it's like running a marathon with a 500-pound backpack attached to you. And I say that I'm guilty as well. Like, I'm natural, but I would always feel compelled to straighten my hair for an interview, even though I knew within 1 week of getting that job, I'd have an afro, right? But I felt like I gotta straighten my hair if I want the job. And I remember the first time I wore like an afro pony to an interview, y'all, I was sweating. I was sweating. But at the end of the day, I think it's really important in finding the balance, right? Because I do think we have to absolutely walk a balanced line in corporate, but it's still imperative that you figure out, can I be myself? Can I be myself at work, or am I going to spend more of my time covering instead of being able to create and add value? How are we going to make this all work and come together? Because it's going to be really critical for our success. Who has time to be carrying a 500-pound backpack? None of us. I can't even lift 500 pounds. So there's that. So in looking at this HBR article, one of the things that it said, so I've got my notes here, right? Because I like to be prepared for y'all. So when you see how underrepresented African Americans are in the current leadership roles, right? Look at who's in the C-suite, look at who's on the board. A lot of times, no one looks like us. I remember the first time I saw a black woman in the C-suite, y'all, I was over 30 years old. Yeah. And I had worked at multiple companies. It's not like I had worked at one or two. I'd worked at like 5. And the first time that I saw a black woman wielding power in a way that was absolutely inspiring, I was over 30. And I just thought to myself, damn, that just seems so late, right? And I see this question floating around on Facebook, like, when was the first time that you had a teacher that looked like you? Well, that was earlier in my journey, right? My 3rd grade teacher looked like me. But by the time that I saw someone in an aspirational role and position, 30s, right? And I do think exposure is absolutely a thing. And so when we're looking at the C-suite or the people who are on the E-board or whatever it's called, we can get a little discouraged about this prospect of leadership advancement, because something that you may or may not know, as black women, we are just as likely as white men to ask for those top executive roles, right? Even though we aren't seeing ourselves in those roles, we're still going to ask. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that that piece is also really important for us to hold as we continue to go on these journeys. But when we're seeing that we're underrepresented, right, it's discouraging. Like, okay, so no one has done this. Am I going to be able to do it? Is this going to be a viable opportunity for me? And so there's a rise in the number of black college and university graduates, right? But just 8% of managers and under 4% of CEOs are black. These numbers are whack, right? 8% of managers and under 4% of CEOs are black. That's terrible. No wonder we aren't seeing people who look at us, who look like us. These numbers are absolutely staggering. And I, for one, am not a fan, especially because so many lady leaders are graduating from colleges, and we're bright, colleges, universities, and we are coming into the workforce ready to slay, right? And in the Fortune 500 companies, there are only 3 black chief executives, down from a high of 12 in 2002. A high of 12 in 2002. That's ridiculous, right? 3? That's dismal. And so as we look at these numbers, right, just like I was saying, it could be very easy to kind of feel like, yeah, well, you know, what are we doing? What's the point? Why are we spending the time doing all this work? Like, what are we really trying to do? And so from there, the research is very clear that instead of getting discouraged, we have to take a more proactive role and figure out how are the few of us that are in these roles, how are they doing it, right? And in the HBR article, it talks about how leaders shared the underrepresentation. They shared how often we get underestimated. They shared how we are often under-resourced. I was just talking with my gal pal this week, and we were both talking about how no one taught us how to navigate corporate. We had to figure it out ourselves. And then because it's this vicious cycle of people having to hit their head over and over and making these career flubs and these CLMs, career limiting moves. Sometimes we matriculate through that system of corporate or nonprofit, and then we kind of feel like other people need to pay their dues and learn the hard way. But then that creates this vicious cycle of not getting the help we need early enough in our career to be able to make that difference. And so we have to then take that step back, like, okay, we know that we had it hard. We walked through fire, and it was, baptism by fire and all the things. But then as we see other women who look just like us, who remind us of us, we're going to have to pull sis aside and give her some game. Now, if she's not helpable and if she's not coachable, that's different. But if she's helpable, if she's coachable, we have to start bringing each other along, because we know women who look like us and women of color are often under-resourced as we're trying to curate careers that we can be really proud of. And so we're going to have to be our own freaking resource so that we can see these numbers jump up, right? Remember that number again? That crazy number was 8% of managers and under 4% of CEOs are Black. That's crazy. So that means that we have to start helping each other. So according to the HBR research, it suggests that the success in the face of systemic discrimination and patriarchy and all the things trying to hold us back, it often begins with affirming our own potential, right? That like Issa Rae has the girl in the mirror always hyping her up and sometimes telling her not to do things. But the same way how she's got the girl in the mirror, we have to be our own girl in the mirror, right? And reaffirm ourselves about what's possible. Because what we've learned is that the mind, especially the subconscious, is a very, very powerful thing. And what we also know is that our brain does not like cognitive dissonance. Yes, be your own hype man. That's what Dr. Lacey said. So if we know that we've got to affirm ourselves in the face of patriarchy, in the face of systemic discrimination, in the face of oppressive systems designed to try to kill our vibe, that means that we have to get very specific with the affirmations that we're going to tell ourselves, right? And the things that we're going to pour into ourselves, even though we're going to work every day and work is telling us something different. How are we going to set this up in a meaningful way? I write stuff on my bathroom mirror because it's big. And then if I'm not writing on the mirror, I'm putting Post-its on the mirror to remind myself of what's up. Like, what's up? What's going down? What are we trying to do? Because if we believe in our ability to grow, if we believe in our ability to make decisions, that's what leaders do. We make decisions. And do you know what executives do? Executives make decisions with even less information and even less context, right? And we want to be in those top executive roles just as much as white folks. And so we have to be able to affirm our ability to make great decisions. We have to reflect on this with a level of conviction that we are then convinced that we got the juice, right? We are then convinced that we are capable. Listen, the gal pal and I were talking this week, and we both worked at a company who was hating on our swag. Like, we were swagger splashing the corner daily, and that company, all they had for us, she's not ready. She's not ready. She's not ready. And there was 3 of us, right? She's not ready. She's not ready. And we went on to soar. Not only soar in our leadership capacity, soar in our ability to generate more income, soar in our ability to influence, soar in our ability to be courageous, not just in bringing others along, but then trusting our capacity, trusting our confidence, trusting our capability in order to make an impact from not just a leadership standpoint, but a competency standpoint in each of our own individual roles, rights, industries, and sectors, right? But that begins with that affirmation. Girl, you got this. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you got to do, you got to hype yourself up. Like Dr. Lacey said, you got the juice. You got to be your own hype woman, right? And so one of the things that I really want you to consider in this season of becoming your own hype woman, gassing yourself up, is really thinking about, how do I want to invest in me? because we know that the larger companies often invest about $1,500 per person. But when we look at the budget for folks at like senior director, VP, and C level and above, that budget is next level. But then how do we gather the skills, capacity, and competence and competencies to be able to navigate into those higher levels? We have to invest in ourselves. Sometimes we can leverage company dollars to invest in programs that are really going to help us get to where we want to be, because most organizations don't have capacity to develop at every level, nor do they want to, right? And so we have to invest in ourselves. I believe there was a statistic that came out of the Black Enterprise Conference last year that said for every dollar you invest in yourself, right, that's $33 returned as you look at the bigger picture. And I always tell y'all about some of these major leadership programs that I've gone through. Y'all, I promise you, I know for a fact I make more money now because I did that program then. So I absolutely, I'm in violent agreement with this statistic. Look, Dr. Lacey said, I just did this for myself in the truck owner meeting last week. Right? We got it. Look, she was in the mirror last week like, okay, you got this. You go in these heels. You own this room. You need to be here. You deserve to be here. There's a reason why you're in this room. And we got to do that before we go to work. We probably got to do it when we pull into the parking lot or before we turn on the Zoom. Whatever we have to do to get ourselves in a great spot. Because what we will find is that by investing in ourselves, we can uncover unique strengths that will allow us to have a different focal point. I promise y'all, before I really started to understand how I could navigate the things that make Dorothy Dorothy, I wasn't loving her. I was like, why are you like this? How come you don't like this? How come you don't just want to be in corporate like everybody else? Everybody loves this but you. And I would just be getting down on myself because I was like, I'm so not a fan. How come I can't just learn to love this like everyone else? But why can't we just start to figure out what these strengths are and use that as our lens for how we're going to attack the different tasks, the different goals, and the different challenges and obstacles that come our way? When we can discover new paths to success as Black women and as women of color in leadership, because we know you don't need direct reports to be a leader, then what it does is it gives us an opportunity to create a more fulfilling career, but also a more fulfilling life in general, right? So what we want to try to do as we go on this journey is we want to align with our core values as much as possible. We've talked about that before, so I want you to make sure that you do that work before the end of 2021. And you want to align with your personal leadership goals. What you trying to do? Where you trying to go? What do you want this to look like over the next 3 to 5 years? And then how can you work backwards? If these are things that are ministering to your heart and you feel seen, we probably need to talk. This is a great opportunity for you to invest in yourself, right? There's different tools that I have available. You could get them from the store. You could get the Boss Bundle if you're like, look, I need some coaching. I need to talk through this a little bit more. You can grab the Boss Bundle where you get 3 targeted coaching sessions. That's basically a bundle of Elevate Power Hours, and then you save a little bit of money by buying the bundle. Or if you're like, ooh, I'm not going to do all that. I just want to buy the 1 hour, knock it out, and just get my spirit all the way together. You can buy that single Elevate Power Hour. But if you're like, wow, I'm really trying to make sure that I don't fall into these pitfalls because I understand what some of the hard truths are when it comes to being a Black woman in corporate, when it comes to being a woman of color in corporate. Like, I really want to be seen and leveraged as the resource that I know I can be, because what? I'm the plug. Like, come and see me. Come and see what I can really do. That is a great opportunity for you to navigate over to the store. Go ahead and get the plug ebook or get the plug bundle, right? Where you get, or the plug kit. There's 3 different options, right? I got an option for everybody. If you just want the ebook, you can do that. If you want the ebook plus the hard copy plus the journal, and the audio companion, you could do that. If you're like, but wait, I want all of that, but I need coaching, I got that for you too, right? Where you get your targeted coaching sessions and then you get the ebook for free. So, what I want you to do is spend some time thinking about, how can I invest in me? My blackness is an asset. This is something that's going to help me soar. And the biggest thing that I want you to hold is that you got to affirm yourself in the face of systemic discrimination, in the face of patriarchy, in the face of oppression, on the journey to your liberation, okay? What you got to do to affirm you, to make sure that you are set up for success as we continue to go on this journey of curating a career that we love, a career that we can be proud of, and going to a job that doesn't make us feel like we're catching a cold every morning, right? And part of that comes from being able to be yourself. So having said all that, I want you to share this video with another lady leader, and I want you to make sure that you spend some time considering the big ideas that we discussed today. And with that, that has been another episode of Day to Day with Dorothy. Y'all, I don't even know if this worked on Facebook today. I mean, it says it's live, but I don't even know right now. So, having said that, at least on Instagram, we were here. We were in it to win it. And so with that, you know the requirement, y'all. You are required to lead from every single seat you sit in. There's no excuse. It's a non-negotiable and an absolute. You got to. So, I will see you back here next week around that 5-ish time frame on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, so that we can hang out, do a little bit of shoulder rolling as we go in and get this money. That's what we all trying to do. I'll see y'all next week. Stop it. I don't think it recorded. It says live. I don't think it's live. I don't think it recorded on Facebook. Everything's like blanked out. This is so weird. I hate when they change things up, 'cause then I don't know if it's working. Oh, is it working?